Good evening, everybody, and welcome to WOR, Tier 1 of the Crossplay platform. And that's right, you can see the standings on the screen at the moment. And tonight I'm joined by another stand-in, and that is the incredible James. James, welcome along for this one. And the French Grand Prix, it's going to be a pretty incredible race, I think.
It is. Bonjour, everyone. Bonjour to Gareth. Bonjour to everyone in the comment section as well. It is going to be a really fascinating night. Of course, the championship leaders went by the wayside in Portugal. Are they going to be looking back? One of them I know is on a lap at this moment in time. That is Rusty. He's the first man out on track at this stage. But of course, Smokey leading the way in the championship on 85 points. Rusty in second on 68. Skyler in third on 59. It is all to play for. And we've also got TF Rudy, the man, the myth, the absolute GOAT. From now PS to PC, he is back tonight as well on WOR. Should be an interesting one.
It's going to be absolutely incredible when I'm looking over to the left-hand side, because that's where my main screen is. And looking at it at the moment, Rusty is on a lap time, so we'll look on that very shortly. But we will look at the standings again, and Smokey leading the way at the moment. Rusty's obviously had a few weeks out, and this could be a point in all this where there's a lot of pressure on Rusty's shoulders right now.
There is a lot of pressure on Rusty's shoulders right now because he's got basically a 17-point gap to try and whittle down to Smokey, who's obviously leading the championship on 85 points. Rusty there in second. He has had very much glimpses of really good racing this season. I remember in Baku where he absolutely drove the socks off in qualifying. He is going to hope to try and do that once again in France tonight. He's just coming to the end of his lap. He's actually coming through the final corner at Pont now, and I can actually tell you what his lap time is going to be. But even looking to the rest of the standings as well, Rowan there in fifth, of course, champion in season 13 on the consoles. Rusty goes quickest with a 29.382. Rowan is there in fifth position, 43 points. I wouldn't count him out. I wouldn't count Tom out. I wouldn't count Jensen out. Bit of PS bias coming in there, but who cares?
Yeah, definitely got to have a little bit of bias every so often. But looking at how close, obviously, the top four really is, because it's 29 points between PSR Wilson and PSR Smokey. There's four drivers there, but you've also got Rowan, who really has come into his own over the last couple of weeks. Definitely not one to watch out for. And PSR Sav, a driver which I know when you last commentated on as well, has everything about him, but just isn't there yet through the whole season.
Well, of course, he was in that 1-2 in Baku the last time that I did commentary alongside yourself, Gareth. He was 1-2 with Wilson in that qualifying session in Baku. And I don't want to bring up what's happened to Sav in that race because it was an absolute disaster from the Red Bulls. They colliding each other in towards turn number one. Hopefully no repeat here tonight from him. He's there in sixth position, 35 points. Wilson, Sky, the Rusty also covered by 12 points for that battle for second. It is going to be interesting. McCabe Sam, I believe, is here as well. He'll be one to watch out for, I'm absolutely sure, on track. But as it stands, Rusty's out on top, Wilson in second, Jack there in third, with I think about 3 or 4 minutes gone in qualifying. So we're not missing out on much. Smokey, though, leading the way, still got that stranglehold, though. It is going to be very much fascinating around a track where, of course, speed and downforce and drag is the key. Definitely,
and well, we will get onto the camera screen very shortly. I'm just having a little bit of a problems with it. The Elgato. So everything seems to be going wrong for me tonight, unfortunately. Something I will want to bring to your attention though is Fabi does have a driving license ban, a qualifying ban for tonight's race, and I know you've had a quick look at the incident from last week, but just talk us through from your perspective from that as well. Sorry to put you on the spot, James.
I wasn't even here last week. I need to try and remember what actually happened in that incident. But yes, Skyler basically had a much better run, or was trying to defend, obviously, off Fabi. Fabi had a much better run than coming out of turn number 4 at Portugal. And they're down the straight, literally contact on contact, wheel on wheel. Unfortunately, both of them had that problem down in towards turn number 5 at Torre Vip. And it was really unfortunate, I think, from their perspective, for that to happen. And obviously, both of them have got to try and come back a little bit better from that incident. Fabi, of course, has had a qualifying ban. He got punished as well by the game being disqualified in that race as well. And he's down there in 20th position, so he's going to have it really really tough in this session. He is a very good, capable driver. He's a former TTG member, of course, on the PS tier. And, of course, I'm a current TTG member as well, just throwing it out there. But he is one to watch out for potentially further down the field. This is a track that could be made for him, but it'll be very, very much difficult, I think, for him to get in the top 10. But Rusty, Sav, Wilson currently out on the top. It's a 129.382, 129.511, and a 129.587. Quite a few invalidations, though. Tom, McCabe, Sam, Choco, Pisty, Fern, and Louis have all invalidated their first run. So they are looking to try and get the laps on the board. McCabe Sam has just came out the pit lane, which I can't afford. It's a bit like Jack Nichols on BBC Radio 5 Live at this stage, the radio commentary. But still, we'll try and take you through it if we can.
Yeah, hopefully very, very shortly I can get this Elgato to start working. It's just been one problem after the other, unfortunately. James, you've known quite well my frustrations in this early part, but let's hope it will work very, very shortly. As you get to see a very, very close, much close up of my face as possible. But there's still plenty of qualifying remaining in this one, and let's hope that at the moment, at this current, the way things stand, I don't really know what's going on, but the two Red Bulls, the PSR boys, are looking incredibly quick at the moment, second and third respectively between the two of them. But Rusty at that top end of the stage, as he has been when he has raced this season. So let's hope that for entertainment's sake that he can continue this.
Yeah, from entertainment's sake, definitely going to continue this, I think, as well. Thank you there in the comment section saying what a lap from Tom. Tom hasn't actually done a lap at this point, Frankie, so I don't know what you're on about. I think he's just trying to pull the wool between our eyes there in terms of what's going on. But yeah, Rusty has been so consistent. Sav and Wilson, as you mentioned, been really consistent as well in recent weeks. 29.511, 29.587. And to be honest, looking at the rest of the grid on the left-hand side, which is why I'm turning away from the camera, it's about a tenth and a half covering second to sixth at this stage. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this qualifying session will go. Rusty, however, I can just report, has just spun out of turn number one on the curb. So unfortunately for him, he's not going to valid run in. He will go, I think, potentially for another run. But Rusty, Sav, Wilson, currently your top three. Currently, drivers just preparing up for their laps as well, which I hope the Elgato is going to be working very soon indeed. Otherwise, I could be being paid double time after this.
I think you should really be being paid double anyway, James. But let's fingers crossed. We might not have a volume straight away, but let's have a look at this anyway. Let's have a look at how things are going without volume, and hopefully between race and qualifying, we can fully. I can get the audio working as well. This has been a comedy of errors on my side, unfortunately. But let's have a look at McCabe Sam. He's broken himself into the top 10 in the standings this season so far, but with 8 minutes of qualifying to go, see what he can do as he heads through turn 11. It's not really a banking right-hander, but you can see so many overtaking opportunities through that with people being a little bit daring.
Yeah, 50.2 in the middle sector is actually not too bad through the middle sector. We would expect normally from the PS guys sub 50s through the middle sector. So McCabe Sam just a little bit off the time at this stage. But through the Lackham Pond, he looked very clean and very crisp coming out of there. I'm going to say it's around a 130.2 to the line. It's a 130 flat. I'm only 2/10 off of a second, but it goes there in 12. As you say, he has broken into the top 10 in the standings as well. He has done a fantastic job, I've got to say, in recent weeks from just watching on the sidelines. He has been very consistent. Looking like, again, this track could be made for him. He's down there in 13th, though, at this stage. Tom has just started up on a lap as well. He's actually just gone very deep in towards turn 8 and turn 9, so you can ignore him. Choco, however, purple in the middle sector, I believe, 49.7 in the middle sector. He's coming through a lap at turn 14 and then Pont at turn 15. Rudy, by the way, has gone fourth as well. Jack there in sixth position. He's looking to try and come out of the pit lane very soon. But Choco now on the run to the line to try and pull it up there between Rusty and Sav, I think, with this lap to the line. He goes third, just behind Sav. Very good lap from Choco. And Rusty out on top, Sav in second, Choco there in third, and Choco will be hoping it'll be the cat that gets the cream at the end of tonight.
Yeah, and I think Sav has just put himself back into that. Actually, Sav puts himself into P2. Sorry, Wilson into P3. Scyther then goes quickest of all with a 29.3, beating Rusty. Rusty's still in the pit lane through all this as well. But I'm on board with Ali Ferrari as he's coming down the Mistral straight into turn 8. This is going to, well, a little bit of pressure on him. He's a rookie driver in for, I say rookie driver for crossplay in for tonight on the Xbox side of things. Let's see what he can do. You're heading down into turn 10 now, and this generally is flat out through turn 10, and we can see drivers go side by side through here as well. So it's quite a spectacle when it happens, but let's see how it happens for him in this race or qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. So 49.9 in the middle sector, again, not looking too bad at all. He comes out of turn number 12 and gets on the curb. You basically need to hug the curb, basically like Tony Hawk style, ride the curb with the underfloor on that curb and get the best possible exit coming in towards Lackham Pond, which is exactly what he's done. He's looked really good. He's been a really good asset, of course, the Team Shazoo team, who, of course, are a part of course, he is part of that team. Ferrari now to the line goes 14th to Ali there in 14th position with 130 flat, but he'll be hoping to try and improve, as will, of course, the former WOR Season 12 champion back in the day, and that is Mr. Shazoo Jensen, who's currently on lap at 30.5, not representative at all from his pace at this stage, but Skyler's out on top, Rusty there in second, Sav there in third. I believe Nick is on a lap as well. He's actually down on a lap. I think he's just finished one there in fifth. Jack, however, was on lap. He's invalidated coming to the final sector. I think he's going to come potentially back into the pit lane as well, unless it's the game having me on. I think it is the game having me on. He's just preparing up for his lap.
Yeah, it's I love these game glitches that we get occasionally from this F1 2022 game. But Jensen is just about to start a lap time, and it is, well, I don't want to say imperative for us to have a look at Jensen, but Jensen is, ever since he's come into this league, and from what I know from the PlayStation side of things, he's always been there or thereabouts. He's been a solid driver, and someone that I would liken to LCR Leopard in the Xbox side of things, someone that's just consistent, someone that's, you want in your team. Funnily enough, they're both from Shazoo, but you want in your team to be a calm head, and they are very much that, and pull something out of the bag. But unfortunately, out of the exit of turn 5, he's invalidated. Not good with just 4 minutes left of the session remaining. And this is all of a sudden pressure territory for everyone under that 15th place spot, really.
Yeah, it is pressure territory. I know Jensen, I've certainly been commentating on him in recent weeks as well in other leagues. He has really struggled, I've got to say, in recent weeks. I'm not sure where his focus actually is in terms of this game. I know he's been doing esports challenges. I think he's actually qualified for esports challenges, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So obviously some of that focus has shifted towards that, but he's there in 17. He has got to deliver literally where it needs at most. He's there in 17, and he's got to try and deliver on that lap. Jack, by the way, then validated again on his other run. VSL man there in 8th position currently. Tom, I believe, is going to be one of the next, I think, to start up on a run, as with 3 minutes to go, people are coming out of the pit lane very early indeed, which gives that incentive, I think, to try and get the lap in before, of course, the timer runs out. And, of course, if you invalidate the lap, you are going to have that other lap, of course, on. Tom there, though, down in 18th position. He's another one that really does shine around this track. I've seen him win around this track, actually, before, and dominate around here. Not saying that he's going to do that tonight, but he might just well. He's just invalidated on his outlap at this stage. But down in 18th, he'll be one to watch out for. Skyler, though, out on top. Rusty in second. Sav in third. As we get to the business end of qualifying, as Tom nearly spins it out of turn 12.
Well, we're heading through turn 10 now, and Choco is all over the back of PSR Stonks, who's just about to start a lap time. And behind those two is Cider. So Stonks could be holding his teammate up in a sense here with pushing Choco back that little bit further. Cider really has to play it a little bit smart. He's currently leading this qualifying session, but not by very much to NRX Rusty right now. But down the start-finish straight goes, and might as well stay on Stonks as long as he keeps his car pointing in the right direction and without invalidating as he comes through turn 1 and 2. Now it's a little bit of a kinky chicane, this one, isn't it? Because turn 2 technically is a little bit further up the road from where we would expect turn 2 would be, but through into the next bit of the chicane they go, into the bit where a lot of drivers might pick up penalties tonight, and that's the exit of turn 5, and into sector 2 he goes. Stonks at the moment It's looking relatively good to improve from that 13th place.
Tom is ahead of him on a lap. He's a 49.5 in the middle sector as Gareth just takes a drink of his orange juice there. Don't want him to spit it out with that middle sector, but Tom in that middle sector split absolutely flying. I'm on board with him now coming out of turn number 12. This is an absolute humdinger of a lap. If you can get it coming through Lack and Pond, this is going right to the top. I guarantee this in terms of a lap as Tom comes through Lack, then in towards Pond. Stonks as well as on a lap. I think his middle sector, he was a tenth and a half down, I believe, in that middle sector split. But Skyler out on top, Rusty in second. Here comes Tom to the line. In the end, goes fourth, and he will hold me accountable, I think, in terms of that lap. Skyler out on top. Rusty there in second, Sav there in third. Sav is responding in the middle sector, 49.5 in that middle sector split. 10th up on this lap. Rusty as well up on his lap. Skyler's coming through the final couple of corners as well. Stonks, I believe, didn't improve. He's actually running to the line now, but I don't think he's actually going to try and improve, and he didn't in the end. But he does get another crack at things with only 20 seconds to go. Skyler now to the line. Might have just put it out of reach. 29.2. Rusty is a 10th up. Sav, though, to the line is coming in really big. 29.3. Very good lap from him. Rusty now to the line. Is he going to go quickest ahead of Skyler? No, he doesn't even improve in the end, but it's Skyler out on top. Sav in second, Rusty in third. The business end of qualifying getting very, very close. Wilson again, 49.5 in the middle sectors. He slides his way out of turn number 12, slides his way again out of 13, and that's his lap ruined.
That is nuts from PSR Wilson. I was expecting him to go quicker. Let's go on board with PSR Wilson. Let's see if he can do anything quicker. He's definitely one to watch as Wilson retires from the session. Through the last corner goes Nick, the McLaren driver, down the start-finish straight. Is it going to be quicker? Is it going to be quick enough to put anyone else to shame? I don't think it is. Actually, he's put me right. Wow, that is pole at the moment for PSR Nick. Through comes Rudy, in 8th place at the moment, the Alpha Tauri. Wow, what a lap time from PSR Nick. No qualifying left to go. Jensen's had enough. I think that's Levi up into P5 alongside his teammate Rusty. Down the start-finish straight goes Rudy. Can he do anything? His teammate is also on a lap time. PSR Jack. Rudy stays P9 for the time being. But Jack, is up on his lap time at the moment. Through the final corner. Is this going to be enough? Can VSR Jack do anything about the lap time? But the current championship leader is in 11th place out of all this.
Didn't improve 7,000th of a second. Did improve his time. Didn't actually improve his position there. Axe as well as invalidated on his run. Louis coming to the line. Louis Valentin coming to the line. 29.5 that would have been. It would have put him actually 9th ahead of Rudy. Was an invalid lap though. That, my friends, I believe is the end of qualifying. As Gareth mentioned, Smokey there down 11th. Disappointing qualifying session from him, especially because he's 4/10 off the pace of PSR Nick. But it's Nick with that lap time. I didn't think he was going to go quickest, to be honest, but then he did, and he is in the end by 600ths of a second from Skyler there in second, Sav there in third, Xbox 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tom best place on the PS guys there in sixth with what I thought was going to be a pole lap in the end, but it wasn't. But Nick out on top, Skyler in second, Sav there in third. Makes for very interesting qualifying, especially because we might get a little bit of wet stuff potentially.
We'll have to wait and see for that one, James, definitely. But Nick holding station at the top at the moment, and look, well, I say at the moment for the race, it's a 1:29.221. It's an incredible lap time from him, and you know. Jamie Johnson in the chat saying about Levi, it's a great lap from him as well, throwing himself into P5. But let's go down that order fully. Nick from Cider on the front row of the grid, Sav and Rusty on the second row of the grid. The third row of the grid sees Levi and Tom, Wilson and Choco on the fourth row of the grid, and the fifth row of the grid sees Rudy and Jack. Smokey, Axe, Pisty, Stonks, Jensen, Ali Ferrari, Louis, McCabe Sam, Fern and Fabi obviously not setting a lap time, and Fern not setting Fabi with a qualifying ban and Fern not setting a lap time. That is, I mean, were we expecting PSR Nick to get pole here? The best way to describe it, I think my eyes were set kind of on Rusty, Cider, Sav and Wilson. I wasn't even adding the championship leader to that list.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, Nick, I think surprised everyone in the comment section. Certainly surprised us too as well. It was brilliant to watch. And that lap was just really clean, hooked up. It was perfect from Nick. And that's why, in the end, he's on pole position. But do not discount the likes of Rusty, the likes of Skyler in behind as well. They are going to be out there for blood. They are going to literally be out there to try and get them down and towards turn number 1. It's a very long run down and towards turn number 1, about 400 meters, I believe, down and towards turn number 1, slightly shorter than the run down in towards turn number 1 at Spain. But France, I can report it is beautiful blue skies and sunshine once again, which is fantastic. And that means we're going to see, hopefully, a one-stop strategy. Majority drivers I would expect to be on a set of hardcore penalties and then transitioning to a set of mediums. But this is going to be very interesting indeed. Looking through some of the other comments there as well. Keki saying he's going to steal some diamonds. I don't blame him, to be honest. Frankie saying Louis, Tom and Jensen battling for P19. In the end, Tom now in P6, not going to be battling for P19. He is a very clean, consistent driver. He'll be one to watch out for, but we are about to get going very soon indeed for Season 14. Round 7 in France. Should be a fascinating one. Let me know in the comment section, and let us know in the comment section who your top 3 is, who you're supporting in the chat tonight as well. We would love to hear every single comment that comes through. And if you ask about Ron Ha, unfortunately, he's not here.
If you ask about Ron Ha, no comment. We'll go with that. Yeah, so I've tried to unfortunately, James, I've tried to reset to get sound back, and it's not worked. So hopefully these guys will hold off just a little bit longer to me to get my capture card back working again. But talk about a night that you don't want anything to go wrong. But, I mean, looking at it, who do you think is... I mean, there's a fair few drivers that are capable of winning this race. But from a commentator's point of view, who do you think is the one going to be the one to beat for tonight?
I'm going to throw all of my eggs into Rusty's basket. I think Rusty, potentially is going to win this race. I think he has got the pace. 27 laps around here, it's going to be very much drag central. So Rusty for the win. I'm going to go... I may as well put Tom in for second just because non-PS bias. And for third, I don't know. I'm going to go Sam McCabe.
Fair enough. I'm going to have to go to your expert opinion very, very quickly, because I think we are actually fully underway right now. And that is Sav that is leading the way with Rusty. No, sorry, it's Nick that's leading the way. That is how bad the connection I've got at the moment, with Rusty trying to get through at the moment as well. But we are going to have to go for radio commentary for a little bit, and I will have to ask you to do that, unfortunately. James.
No, that's totally fine. Totally fine indeed. Yeah, Nick leads the way, Skyler in second, Sav there in third, Rusty there in fourth. They're getting 3 wide in towards turn number 6, and that was Rudy diving it down the inside of Wilson, coming through turn 6 and 7. Choco right in there with Jack as well. They're running side by side, coming out of turn number 7, but Nick Claire leads the way onto the Mistral straight for the first time. Skyler there in second, Sav there in third, Rusty in fourth, and he's actually challenging the back of Sav. We've got a spinner in the background. That is Fern who was spun. The PSL man down in 20th, right down at the bottom of the Mistral straight. Jack and Smokey are getting very much side by side, coming out of the Mistral straight through the chicane node, and Smokey now actually down in 11 because Jack got past him. Jack through, and he's into 10th, and it's nearly 4 wide in the background as well. McCabe, Sam Jensen, Axe and Louis all now going for this little bit of track coming through turn number 10. Louis Valentine now to the inside line, gets 1, gets 2, and gets past Jensen. Beautiful stuff by Louis Valentine. Get through into 15th position in the lead though. Nick leads the way. Skyler there in second, Sav there in third. Louis in the end has actually just dropped behind Jensen, who looks a bit quicker in terms of pace. But at the end of the first lap, or coming towards the end of the first lap, Nick there leads the way. Skyler in second, Sav there in third, Rusty there in fourth. Most position gains so far out on track. Well, McCabe Sam, literally the man I said for P3. He's there up 4 positions, down from 18th on the grid, up to 14th. 39.777 from Nick, though, leads the way from Skyler there in second, Sav there in third, and McCabe Sam now makes it 5 positions up the road. He gets ahead of Stonks, down and towards turn 1, around the outside he goes through turn number 1, gets the job done, and McCabe Sam defends that position ahead of Stonks, and Stonk looking for a stonking move, not quite pulling it off though through turns 1 and 2 as Nick there leads the way. Skyler there in second, Sav there in third. Rudy really looking on the back as well of Wilson. Wilson looking on the back of Tom. This is going to get quite mixy as Wilson actually looking on his end. He has actually got the red fuel light flashing. So that means he's got to save that fuel a little bit later on in the race. That could come back to bite him on the backside, the back of that Red Bull, of course. But Tom there in sixth, defending down and towards the Mistral, straight down towards the chicane node once again. Nick there leads the way, Scarder there in second, Sav there in third. Any joy with the Elgato?
Well, we've got no sound, but Pisty is trying to attack PSR Smokey for the battle for P11, and that is in itself is incredible to hear. Smokey is in 11th place, and I say PSR is PR Pisty. I do apologise. Wilson getting past Shazoo Tom through turn number 11, which I said might be a good overtaking opportunity. And into turn 12, Tom is fighting Wilson back, forcing Wilson off the track, getting his elbows out, but I think he is going to continue to fight this one through. But the problem is when they go into turn 15, Wilson's going to have that inside line and really be able to have the opportunity to get past him. But Tom, giving him his credit, is really fighting this one. He's still going, he's faster in a straight line speed as they head into turn 1, and that surely has managed to keep him in front of PSR Wilson for the time being.
Somehow defends that position. That was stoic defense from Tom. That's what he likes to do best. He likes to defend literally for every single position out on track. It was brilliant racing between the both. Yes, they might have forced each other off track a little bit, but that is racing around France, I'm afraid. Tom there in 6th, Wilson there in 7th, and actually Tom has got them back within DRS range as well, which of course is enabled on lap 3 out of 27. Wilson, though, looking to try and come at the back of Tom. Tom looks so quick down the straight line. I would like to have whatever his setup is on at this stage. Jack on the back of Choco there in 9th and 10th position. The AlphaTauri on the back of the Alfa Romeo, looking to try and get the job done. But further ahead, I spy Rusty on the back of Sav. And is he going to go for the move in towards turn number 10? Purple middle sector as well from the NRX man, of course, second in the championship coming in tonight. He takes the turn 10 bollard with him as well, just for good measure. Jack right on the back of Choco as well. Tries to go all the way around the outside of turn number 11. That's turn number 11 then through the left-hander at turn number 12, which will come, but in the end Jack forced out wide slightly there by Choco, and Choco there in 9th, Jack there in 10th position. These guys do like to fight. This is looking like a pretty good race so far. Nick leads the way, Scarver in 2nd, Sav in 3rd. Rusty though challenging Sav, and it's a matter of time. I think Rusty is going to get through on Sav.
Yeah, it's I think it's a little bit of a waiting game for Rusty, just making sure he picks the right moment, side the fastest man on the track, but then it's taken away quite aggressively there by Shazoo Tom, who's had a cracking lap 3 overall, being able to defend from Wilson and then get that fastest lap. Just testament to his pace, but Wilson is still there, hunting him down as best as he can. But the two NRX guys do look that little bit quicker than PSR Sav right now in the race trim. So we'll have to wait and see how it all pans down. Sider only just keeping a hold of Nick, but Sav only just keeping a hold of Sider as they come down the Mistral straight into turn 8. This little chicane, which can cost people time on penalties. And that's something we've barely spoken about. The penalty situation here at France can get quite high.
It can get very high indeed, and track limits are very unforgiving around this track as well, especially coming through turn number 10. I've seen many drivers pick up 3-second penalties coming through there. Jack on the back of Choco once again, coming through turn number 10, and actually Choco got sent out wide, pretty much through a little bump coming into the curb, and in the end, Jack has to take really avoiding action, just about recovers the car. I don't know how he's ended up losing one position as a result of that. That was a huge snap of oversteer there from Jack, literally backed off at second, and then got caught on the bump, coming out through turn number 10. Smokey now back through and he's into P10. He's now in the final point scoring position, which is crucial for his championship hopes, but he's got Rusty there in 4th, who can't really do much about it at this stage. Otis Lawrence, by the way, in the chat saying as well, where did Smokey qualify? Smokey in the end qualified down in P11, and he was about 4 tenths off the pace of Nick in that qualifying session. And it comes to show that because Jack, who necessarily wouldn't be as quick as him, is all over the back of him coming through turn number 1. Smokey definitely doesn't like Trans. He doesn't want, he wants to try and get as much result out of this race as possible. Rudy there as well on the back of Wilson is looking quite tight. But again, they're just running in line of stone formation, coming through this first sector. Nick there leading the way, Skyler in 2nd, Sav there in 3rd. But Smokey, championship leader, if he wants to drive like a potential champion, he's got to fight his way through the field. And this is going to be a tough task for him.
Definitely a tough task, and Smokey did mention that he... Otis did mention that Smokey might be washed. Definitely... I mean, Otis, come back and race. I know you did last week at Portugal, but neither here nor there. Let's see as they come down. This is a lovely image of all the cars coming down into turn 10 as we watch PSR Wilson continue through. Try and hound down Shizou Tom. Shizou Tom with that excellent defence a few laps ago, keeping station and now keeping back up with NRX Levi and Rusty. PSR Nick doing a wonderful job of just controlling this race. That's the best way to describe this. Let's go. I mean, it's all very, very nip to tail. But VSR Axe getting very close to the back end of the McLaren as they head to the exit of this lap. And with lap 6 of 27 here, Sider has again entered the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Axe ran on the back of Louis there, was literally trying to hammer the door down and peek through the keyhole potentially in terms of that position for P16. Axe there in 17th, doing a fantastic job. I think I called him Axie the last time actually that I commentated on him, but he's there in 17th. Axe doing a fantastic job. Fabi was slightly out wide coming out of turn number 1 as well. First sign though from Nick was just saving that ERS. He's now having to use that battery up. He's got 60% battery compared to Skyler. Skyler was all over the back of him through the final sector. I'm not sure if Nick might have made a mistake coming through turn number 11. But Nick, leading the way, has just begun to just chase a Skyler outside of that 8/10 of a second range. And that is crucial because that is slipstream range around here. Get him out of slipstream range. There's no looking back, and perhaps he will pull away as Rusty is on the back of Sav as well. Down at the second half of the Mistral straight in toward the right-hander of turn number 10. And he looks very, very quick compared to Sav at this stage. Gains time coming through turn number 10. And now is beginning to put the PSR man under pressure for sure. But Nick leads the way. Skyler there in second, Sav in third. Might be a little bit boring at this stage. Louis and Jensen are going side by side as well, coming through turn number 11. They've now pulled away from Axe. I think the Shizou team are in full working order, potentially in terms of team tactics. They've got Stonks and McCabe Sam ahead of them, so they'll be focusing, I think, on battles ahead rather than behind. But Louis Valentin, if I was in the Shizou camp right now, in that 16th position, Louis looks so much quicker than Jensen. I'd let him go.
Yeah, I think you're right with that. I would just let someone go and just try and keep up to their DRS and keep up to their ERS as well. Well, it's all about that in the sense of racing. But Sider, he's seeming to be quicker in that second sector. I've kept on board with him through that lap, and he seems to be quicker in that final sector in comparison to PSR Nick. But he's so close at being dropped by Nick in the first half of the lap that I don't think I don't think he can afford to hold on to what he's quicker at the end. He needs to really start pushing at the beginning of a lap.
He really does. And Skyler now within 0.4 of a second into the chicane node at turn number 8 and 9. He really needs to put, I think, Nick under some sort of pressure. I mean, everyone, I think, started on that set of hard compound size, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Yeah, everyone started on that set of hards, which is crucial. And Skyler is going to be thinking about potentially getting Nick at some point on the lap. What I've noticed, certainly, is he carries a lot more momentum coming through this middle sector, and that means he's got more of a corner inside of him, whereas Nick, we spoke about, of course, the downforce and the drag just before we came live. The downforce and the drag is absolutely crucial around here. If you are running lower wings, which I think Nick is compared to Skyler, it gains you that time down the straight, but then you lose time coming through the final couple of corners, and that now translates into understeer, potential oversteer. Skyler, though, I had seen one moment from him coming through turn number 12 where he got a little bit twitchy on the exit. Didn't lose much time, but that just comes to show where his weaknesses potentially are coming through that part of the lap compared to Nick. Nick now beginning to try and drag him outside of that 0.8 of a second again. But so far, everyone running in line astern. Fern, by the way, after an early spin through the Mistral straight on turn number 7 on lap 1. He's down there in 20th and off the pace. But everyone's been a big old DRS train here. Typical French racing so far. Nick leads the way, Skyler in second, Sav there in third. But like typical French people as well, certainly in the centre of Paris, I don't think anybody's going to be giving way anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so. No white flags being raised at all, James, right now. And Rusty does get close to the back end of Sav again. But I think Nick is really starting to try. Well, he's doing his best to pull away. Maybe he's been listening to us and decided to really push away. But Sider, I think, might have responded to that as well. 7.7 of a second at the moment between the two of them, with Sam Rusty very, very close following suit. Again, Shizou Tom dropping outside of that top 5 the pace is starting to lose for Shizou Tom right now. Everyone is on a hard, the white-walled tyres, I should say. And something's happened. James, what's happened?
Louis Valentine has gone into the back of Jensen. Jensen went so wide coming out of turn number 11. I was on board with actually Fabi, who was right on the back of Louis at this stage, or Accent at that stage. I thought he was going to get the move done. Jensen, though, got tagged around by his own teammate, his own blood from Shizou. Jensen, I think, might have got away with damage. He has got away with damage. He's still continuing on. But that is such a shame. And actually, coming out through the final couple of corners, I'm not sure potentially if this is a wheel issue, whether it's a rear wing issue potentially in terms of Jensen, but certainly Jensen now down in 19th position, the season 12 champion. He's had a luckless amount of form on the PS side, and this is continuing once again tonight in console tier 1.
Yeah, it looks like he's struggling a little bit, so there could be rear wing damage, which, isn't ideal for him at all. Let's go a bit closer to the front end of the grid, and here comes Rusty as they come down the Mistral straight again into turn 8, seeming to drop away a little bit from PSR Sav this time of asking. But PSR Nick, again, 0.8 of a second in front, and maybe he's decided to go for the more straight line speed as we get our first penalty of the race, and that is PSR Stonks getting 3-second penalty. Because I'm going back to the PSR Nick ramble that I was on about, is that, you know, it's difficult to overtake someone if your straight line speed isn't quick, and Nick's gone for straight line speed. Skyther's not going to get that.
Skyther isn't going to get that, and look at the gap now. It's a second. Coming through Lacombe Pont at turns 14 and 15. This is now pretty much on the side of a second. He's just within DRS range this time around. Next lap around, I don't think he would have been so fortunate. We're coming on to lap 10 out of 27, a third of the way through here in WOR season number 14 for console tier 1. Nick leads the way, Skyther in second, Sav there in third, Rusty all over the back of Sav though, and towards turn number 1. Levi there in fifth, running a good job as Louis Valentine sets the new fastest lap of the race, the 1:33.542. Tom, Wilson, Rudy, Choco, Smokey top 10. Smokey, by the way, just had a really poor qualifying session. I saw a comment just to back up on that. He had a really poor qualifying session, didn't get blocked or anything in terms of his laps. He's down there in 10th, the championship leader. Jack Pisty, McCabe, Sam Stonks, and Louis Valentine. Then it's Axe, Fabi, Ali Ferrari, Jensen, and then Fern, who's still right down at the back of the field as Rusty tries to eye up Sav once again in towards turn number 8 and 9 at the Mistral, straight down towards the chicane Nord. Pisty as well, right on the back of Jack. Actually looks for the inside line at turn number 8. Neatly cascades into the side of him. The AlphaTauri just about gets away with that. Pisty there not going for the move. The PR man on the back of the VSR man. And Jack, I think, is going to try and just use up that little bit of EOS that he's got. 26% compared to 3% on Pisty at this stage. Jack is going to pull him and Pisty back within inside of a second. But that got a little bit too close for comfort there from them both.
Yeah, very, very close between those two. And I was looking back between Sav and Rusty as well. Rusty getting the line between turn 8 and 9 between Sav and Rusty, considering it should be a simple line, was quite different. I wonder if Sav is finding a little bit of tyre degradation coming in already, which is a possibility here at France. It is a high-wearing track. We will keep an eye out for that one, as Rusty seeming to get a little bit frustrating in the Haas just behind Savvy. I think he wants to be released. He wants to really push for it, but with 3 PSR drivers ahead of him, he's probably not going to be, well, allowed to. Shizou Tom getting a penalty, as does McCabe Sam. A home favourite on the Xbox front is McCabe Sam. Very well loved in the chat, usually here in WOR. So as things stand, though, he has just been overtaken by a fair few drivers. He's made a mistake at the exit of turn 6.
He has indeed. I'm not sure what actually happened with him. I think he's just got too Larry on the curb, coming on the outside curb at turn number 6. Unfortunately ran, and he's so far off, it was nearly off towards the 130 different layouts that we've got here in France down the escape road. But McCabe Sam there in 20th, unfortunately for him, he was my 3rd position as well. So I think that commentator curse has now happened. McCabe Sam down in 20th. Unfortunately, he was going really well in that race. He was behind Stonks, he was ahead of Louis Valentine, and he was having a really good fight within that race, and it was going to develop in the second half. But Nick out in front, Scott there in second, Sav there in third. We are going to see, I think, first pit stops begin to happen from around this part of the track. And we're on to what, lap 12 now, basically. So I would expect some of the drivers, especially because they're in a DRS train, to come in early, as Stonks has just done, down there in P12. So Stonks in P13 actually coming into the pit lane. He is into the pit. I can only assume this will be for set of medium compound tyres, because the only tyre that he can feasibly go on, unless he's caught the back end of McCabe's Sam and he has to repair his front wing, which he doesn't. It is for a set of medium compound tyres. He is the first one to break out the train as Rusty is right on the back of Sav and literally line abreast as Levi's right on the back of these guys as well, coming through turn 6 and 7 onto the Mistral straight for the 12th time.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it from an ERS perspective right now, and I don't usually like putting an ERS show up here as defensive goes Sav into turn 8. I feel like it clogs up the screen a little bit too much. But the difference between Sav and Rusty is incredible. Rusty has used so much more than Sav right now, and just trying to. Well, I don't think it's trying to overtake. It's more. Oh, goodness. I was seeing where this is going, and Rusty's gone up the inside on the exit of turn 10. He's now on the outside of turn 12. Rusty is desperate to get past this Red Bull. Rusty's throwing everything, the kitchen sink, a couple of extra tyres from the Haas department to try and get past this Red Bull right now.
There is, and Rudy, by the way, is into the pit lane, just diving in on the right-hand side of the screen there was the TF man. Rudy into the pit lane, the first of the PS guys, actually, to come in the pits. Jensen, by the way, and all of that spun as well, coming through turn 6 and 7, lost the position to Fern, so he's down in 18th and having an absolute disaster of a race at this stage. But Rusty, right on the back of Sav. Sav now, because he's built up that ERS reserve, basically, he needs to now use that a little bit to just gain on the back of Skyler and protect that P3 when he decides to come in the pit lane. Otherwise, this is going to be longer term as McCabe Sam retires. I think that is into the pit lane. It is indeed. McCabe Sam retires into the pit lane. But Sav, with his ERS reserve, he's now having to use a little bit of that up just on the exit of the Mistral straight, down in towards turn number 8 and 9 at Le Chicane. Notice Louis Valentin, the homeboy hero for Shazoo, down there with a 3-second penalty now in P12 as Smokey has gone for the move on Choco to the inside line. There was a late braking move there from the Mercedes. He is through and he's into 8th, and that's going past Louis Valentin into the same chicane as well. So he is through and he's into 12th position. But I will make my point about Sav. His ERS reserve, Rusty, though, has gained that back. He's got 29% of ERS, so he's got a little bit more to fight with. But Sav, surely doing this long term, and surely going to be one to watch out for, I think, longer term in this race, especially if these guys are still within a second of each other.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to pan out. And we spoke about pit stops and when people will pit, and looking at it back from a back point of Cider right now, there doesn't seem to be anyone pitting. Oh, there we go. I think that's Shazoo Tom, is it? Sorry, no,
Wilson.
It's PSL Wilson into the pit lane.
He sped. He sped in the pits. 5-second penalty.
Oh, Wilson. Smokey into the pits as well. Some of these drivers will push it because it is possible to push to a set of softs towards the end of the race. We could see different strategies here tonight. And safety cars aren't uncommon here, but we do have a handful of cars. Wilson, Smokey, Jack and Pisty into the pit lane. Fern has overtaken them, but let's look at it from where Rudy is. And Rudy, surely, oh goodness me, that was nearly a huge collision between Rudy and Wilson. And oh, that is a terrible exit of the pit lane. Until that point, I didn't realise how bad it was. But Wilson and Rudy could have had an absolute almighty accident right then.
I saw it on the mini-map and I thought it was going to be very close coming out the pit lane. I didn't expect it to be that close coming out the pit lane. But Rudy has John Wilson and has got him outside of a second as well. He's got no DRS to fight with. Neither has Rudy, to be fair. But he had an amount of reserves of ERS to try and use up. And he's now got a game on the back of Fern. But Rudy is having to use up all of this battery because he wants to get up the order. Undercut is so much more powerful than the overcut around here as well. So Rudy has got to try and make hay of this. Wilson done lap pressure tyres. That's about 4-5% around here per lap at this stage, as Jensen's letting through Jack there in the background of shot, and he's also letting through Stonks and Jensen as Sav is sped into the pit lane. The Red Bulls go from bad to worse. Tom into the pits, all the leaders in. Skyler and Levi, interestingly, stay out. So Skyler Interestingly, want to go a lap longer than Rusty, than Nick, than Tom in that DRS train. That is a big call from the Aston Martin. Is he going to pull that off Fernando Alonso style?
Oh, it's very, very close. And we're looking at Rudy against PSR Fern as they come down the start-finish straight. I can understand why Levi didn't pit, but Seidler not pitting is very, very questionable. But here we come down the start-finish straight. Where does Rudy go? He's gone round the outside of the Ferrari. Will the Ferrari let Wilson through? He does with relative ease there. And Rudy nearly directly behind PSR South. This undercut from Rudy has been immense. Really good undercut there. Nick, 9 seconds, 9.5 seconds away from Ali Ferrari in P7 at the P6 at the moment, and PSR Wilson ahead of Shazoo, Tom, and Smokey. But interesting to see where.
Here comes Wilson on the back of Rudy, though. All of that EOS is for nothing because Wilson now to the outside line. Down the Mistral, straight into the chicane. No, Chutney not going to hang it all the way around the outside. Oh, he does. Brilliant stuff by Wilson. Fantastic move right around the outside. Rudy's going to try and fight back with the limited amount of EOS he's got. That was superb from Wilson all the way around the outside. Gets the sister car as well. How do you like them apples? Wilson through and he's into 9. He has got that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits, as does his teammate. He doesn't care one jot about that. Beautiful move by Wilson. Gets the job done. He's through and he's in 2. And net P3, given that Skyler is into the pit lane, Levi also into the pit lane. That could be for a net P3.
Interesting thing here is, how is Rusty at the back of all this? He's behind PSR Stonks. It doesn't make sense how far Rusty's gone back, but let's go on it. I think probably best to go on Shazoo Tom's point of view with the drivers coming out of the pit lane. Where is Seidler as they come down the start-finish straight? And it's again very close between Wilson and I think that's Levi this time around. Wilson's had a scare out of the pit lane 2 times now. This is nuts out of the pit lane at France at the moment.
I thought Rudy was going to dive it to the inside line. He might still actually get Levi to the inside of turn number 6. Oh, brilliant stuff by Rudy. This is racing around France. This is brilliant stuff. And now, Tom going around the outside of Levi. Being snap of oversteer gets the job done. Smokey now in the mix as well. This is absolutely incredible here in France. It's all kicked off literally from nothing. Tom now going for the move on Rudy. Size past him down and towards turn number 8. This is literally now just burst into life here in France. Actually, the way Louis in second, Fabian third. They're still yet to come in the pit lane. But my word, talk about springing a race into life. This has just literally kicked off, and Levi now back on the back of Rudy could get him in towards turn 11.
Yeah, Levi is not happy with that. His cold tyres have cost it. But on the inside is Smokey on the Haas. And somehow Levi's held the position. But Smokey was waiting in the wings there. But let's have a look at Levi's point of view as he come through this final sector now. Harvesting is Rudy ahead. But Levi is desperate to get through this. McCabe Sam has finally left the session after retiring quite early on. But Levi pushing Rudy through that final corner. Down the start-finish straight they go. We've got a little over 10 laps remaining for these guys. Well, 11 laps remaining for these guys. But there's just no overtaking opportunity for Levi as they head into turn 1. Levi's got pace about him, but it's not going his way at the moment. And James, if I can ask, can you check to see if Rusty had a front wing change in that pit stop because of all that? Because I don't understand how he's so far behind. Let's have a look at PSR Sav, who has got Seidler for company behind him. He has jumped Seidler in that pit stop phase, which I'm sure he'll be happy about as he's trying to attack PSR Nick as they come into turn number 8. But I don't think anything of it at the moment with the front 3 yet to pit. Fabien Louis and Axe, they, I think, are going to go for a set of softs.
I believe, yeah. Rusty may have picked up a bit of damage potentially coming. I'm not sure if it was into the pit lane or he might have got held up into the pits. That's the only 2 theories I can certainly work with, because I didn't see any damage from Rusty whatsoever. There might have been a collision that we haven't caught on stream that obviously he's been involved in, and we have not known until this point. So thank you to everyone in the comment section for actually pointing that out. But yeah, Rusty in 14th position. He is well down the field now. He must have either got held up in the pit lane or he just completely and utterly got absolutely chomped up. Maybe in the incident as Tom has retired into the pits and has left the session. Not great news for the man who's recently passed his driving test in real life. Tom there down the back of the field, but actually leads the way. Louis Valentine in second, Fabi there in third. But yeah, Rusty down in 13. I checked the race director about 3 times there, and I certainly didn't see anything out of the ordinary in terms of sector time. So maybe Rusty did have a little bit of damage potentially, and obviously got caught up in a slight spin. Was he side by side with anybody, perhaps, early on in the race?
I don't think he was. I think the only time he was battling away with Sav. So I don't think there was any damage at that point. But look at this. 0 ERS to his disposal is Rudy, with Levi all over the back of him. With Tom leaving, I do hope everything is all right with Tom, because retiring straight in the pit lane, which with no apparent damage, I do hope everything is all right with Tom and there's nothing serious going on at his end. But Rudy is really, really under immense pressure from Levi right now as they come through turn 11. I don't know how much longer Rudy can hold off this attack from the Haas.
Rudy, when he's under pressure, he likes to defend very aggressively, and that's what I've seen with him on the PS side. And because he's transferred to PC, I don't think that trait has now gone. I think he will defend this very aggressively with Levi right behind him. Levi has got 20% of EOS coming down the straight. He's not going to go for the move. If there's anywhere to go for the move, it's down and towards turn 8 and 9 at Le Chicane Nord. And we're now 2/3 of the way through the race. Axe, Louis and Fabi still yet to come in the pit lane. Makes me think that they're going to go for set of soft companion tyres, but they're going to be so far off in terms of the race. They're going to be racing with Ali and Fern right down the back of the field, down there in, that'll be for P15, P16, that sort of area. But Levi, again, on the back of Rudy, looking to try and get this job done. Smokey not entirely out of this either. What was a really good undercut strategy from Rudy has now really hurt him longer term, as now Levi is just going to pull alongside potentially down the straight. Rudy knows what's coming, doesn't defend, not going to defend aggressively. Levi through waltzes past him in towards turn number 8, gets the job done. And Rudy now, I think there's only going to be one way for him, and that is potentially going backwards.
And that's really unfortunate for him, but maybe he can use this point, use the DRS to let him save a little bit of ERS coming through some of these points. But look at Smokey. He's not having any of it. Smokey is desperate. Smokey's got no ERS to play with, but he's finding any which way opportunity to attack. However, he has made a mistake into the entry of turn 11, which is very unheard of, really, into the entry of turn 11. But he's managed to get back onto the back end of that Alpha Tauri already, and Smokey is desperate for some blood right now. It's 2.9 seconds between PSR Nick and Fabi and the rest of the front runners here at France. We're on lap 20 of 27. It was quite a slow burner to start with, but the action has definitely come in at the moment. And here comes Smokey. He's not going to do anything into turn 1 on the AlphaTauri, but I'll echo your words. I don't think it's going to be long before Rudy starts dropping down the order a little bit.
Yeah, definitely so. Chasta, by the way, in the comment section saying he got damage from Sav going into the pit lane. That's what happened between Rusty and Sav. It seemed, because Sav obviously sped into the pit lane. I can only assume he sped into the pit lane, tried to take the board in action, and then wiped the front wing, potentially off Rusty, and then obviously picked up damage as a result. Here comes Smokey, though, on the back of Rudy, looking to try and put him on the barbecue to try and grill that steak ahead of him. But Rudy there in 9th, Smokey there in 10th, doing a fantastic job. But he looks to try and get this job done. But because of that ERS advantage, or that ERS pretty much on the same amount as Rudy, they can't really go anywhere. And they're beginning to lose time as well to Levi. It's 8.5 cents of a second, just inside of slipstream range. But that is going to be really costly for Rudy going later on in the race. He's got a much better drag setup compared to Levi down the straights. But he's only got the DRS to try and help him. He has not got the ERS to use up. Smokey should be, if he's the championship leader, if I was in his position, I'd be trying to lift and coast going into the corner, save a bit of that battery up, and then go for the move as Axes into the pit lane. Fabi and Louis Valentine stay out, however, and that means now Smokey's going to be fighting out for P9 out on track with Rudy. Still beautiful blue skies here in France. Fabi, Louis still lead the way, but now they're getting potentially a little bit of team tactics going on. I never thought I'd say a PS guy and an Xbox guy potentially working together, but that might just happen because Louis and Nick, second and third, are doing a fantastic job. Sav there right on the back of these guys as well, of course, with that 5-second penalty overhanging the speeding into the pit lane. Louis could potentially hold Sav up, and if that is the case, it is good news for Nick because he can try and drag out that gap a little bit more.
Yeah, let's. I'm not sure how the enemy of my enemy is my friend works with this one, but I'm sure it does work somewhere away, in some way, shape, or form. But Nick trying every way, shape, or form to get past, and he has done. Got past Louis as they come down. Well, at the exit of turn 9, and then this could be PSR Nick's time. This is where he's got to use everything because Louis is going to be so much slower on those more worn tyres. And he can hold up Sav, but I say he's got to be slower. He's doing a good job through turn 11, but it's the exit of turn 11 that costs him. And look how close Cyber gets to the back end of Sav. PSL Wilson's there as well. The McLaren is holding up in some fashion here, and he's going into the pits this time around, but is it going to be enough? Both of those hard compound runners into the pits. Let's have a look at PSR Nick. Is it going to be enough to give him a little bit of a gap to... Sav behind. Give me the interval time, please. It's 1 second. Is it enough, James? Is it enough?
No, because he had DRS of everyone else in front of him. So Sav has got that DRS down the straight. That has saved him potentially. But Nick has to try and use up a bit of that ERS. Sav is having to do that right now, but he is within a bit of a buffer time, as I call it. About 0.8 of a second. He's basically got a 2/10 buffer to try and work with in terms of getting that gap out to a second. And Nick doesn't want to give Sav any leeway in this race. Sav, we have seen, he has been very quick in this race so far. Skyler as well in third has done a fantastic job. Wilson there in fourth. All of these four get battling. You add Levi into the mix. Levi in the much fresher tyres could come on the back of Wilson sooner rather than later. Will be an interesting fight, as will Rusty down in towards turn number 8 on the back of Choco potentially in towards Le Chicane Nord. Not going to get the job done there. Fern picks up a penalty. However, Rusty very much on the curb coming out of turn number 9. It's a brilliant exit coming out the corner, but he's yet going absolutely nowhere up the straight. And Smokey at the minute is outscoring Rusty at this stage in terms of the championship standings, and that essentially means Smokey could still be championship leader going into the next round, of course, round number 8 of the championship. But Nick, Sav, Sky, the top 3, this race is boiling like my blood at this stage. It is boiling perfectly.
Yeah, this is nuts. Lap 22 of 27. Well, we're just about to hit lap 23 of 27. Smokey, desperate to try and find a way past Rudy. It's just not happening at the moment. The undercut from Rudy that he's trying actually is working well. Just behind Choco, Rusty, and Jack in there as well. Rusty, after that front wing change that he had to make because of contact with Sav, he's still got some sort of points. It's a saving grace for him at the moment. But a saving grace for someone else is PSR Nick, because at the moment, Sav and Wilson have 5 seconds worth of penalty, and Cider is sat in third, not being allowed to attack PSR Nick. So, to be honest, the PSR guys, will they really attack each other too much? I'm not 100% sure. I know it's not a team event, but they're probably happy with 1, 2, 3, 4 right now.
I think they would be. I think they'd be very content as Smokey has actually just sold the dummy down the inside. That was a very late breaking move on the back of Rudy. Got the job done. Thuney's into P6. That's another position gain for the championship leader. Rudy, though, will not give this up very lightly indeed. The PS man, if he gets a better exit coming out of turn number 10 and takes it flat out like he does, he might just have a go again at turn number 11 and then, of course, do the double right at turn number 11 and then, of course, into the double left at turn number 12. But I don't think Rudy is going to be up for that tonight. He just wants to try and drive within the points, which is absolutely crucial. He is under pressure, though, from Jack in behind as well. Jack has been a bit of an underdog, I've got to say, in this race. Of course, he qualified in P10, so he's actually gained 2 positions. Smokey has gained 5 positions. He's been the real underdog, I think, so far in this race. But coming back to your point with Skyler, Skyler has got more ERS than Nick and Sav at this stage. Nick has got, 40%. Sav's got 49%. Skyler sitting on a very pretty 70% at this stage in terms of ERS. Wilson only on 3%. He's the one having to try and keep up. Once Skyler uses up that ERS, he'll be outside of a second and he'll have absolutely no chance to try and come back at him. But Skyler, there in third, He looks to be the one that is going to hold all the trump cards in this race. Nick leads the way. Sav applying a lot of pressure. If I was in Sav's shoes, I'd begin to attack Nick if I were to think about getting this race win.
Definitely, Cider. Well, I think it could be happening right now. He's getting close, but into turn number 8, and it's not happening at the moment for Cider, Sav, or Nick. But I think Nick has just got that straight line speed at the moment, and I think this is where things have been laid down. PSR, Sav, and Nick must have that straight line speed set up for them, while Cider is happy for the cornering speed. And at the moment, you just see how close to the back end of the Red Bull goes Cider, and he's just able to take the corners so much more smoothly than the Red Bull ahead of him. It could be a problem for Sav.
It could be, and what is it more problem? I think he's got blistering occurring on the front left tyre as well, and that is literally the little black line going through the middle of the tyre. That is now costing him, and that's why Skyler is so close. 0.3 of a second down onto lap 25 of 27. I don't think we're going to be getting a safety car in this race, to the delight of my co-commentator alongside me. Nick leading the way from Sav there in second, Skyler there in third, but Skyler really does hold the trump cards in this race. He literally holds the Joker in the pack. Whether or not he's going to go for the move on Sav is questionable, but he should do if he wants to get this race win. Louis Valentine, a little bit wide there for Nick there, as Louis Valentine retires into the quick lane. Stonks as well. 3-second penalty. Fabi, 3-second penalty. They're beginning to really crack up now in terms of the penalties. But again, Saber, not close enough. He looks quicker down the straight compared to Sav, but he's not quite close enough. Somebody that was Rusty going past Choco down the straight. And in fact, Choco has actually spun coming out of turn number 6 and 7. That is unfortunate for him, running the point scoring positions. Perfect for Rusty. He gains an extra point as a result. Pisty now on the points as well, and he's going to have to defend off Stongs. But Skyler once again on the back of Sav, right on the back of him. And do you know what? He might think about the move in towards turn 11. He might go for the up and under, gets caught on the curve to the inside line. The Aston Martin, could he pull it off? But not quite. Sav on the outside line gets the traction. Scarver really wanting to attack. He wants to attack. If there's a safety car, he wants to attack now. But Scarver, that was the first shot. The second shot will be the winning shot, I think, to try and get this move done. Nick leads the way. Sav in second. Skyler in third. And Skyler all over the back of Sav. It's not a question of if. It's a question of when he's going to get this job done.
And I think you're very right. I think it is when it gets the job done. But I think the longer it goes on, I don't think he's going to have a chance at Nick. And I think he might know that a little bit as well. And I think he might hold off and then just make sure he gets that second place. Not that he needs to. Not that he needs to go for it because of that 5-second penalty that Sav has. But you never know with penalties. They can get them taken off them with the way how things have gone. With penalties removals in the past, it could be a problem with a pit lane. We never know, especially with a Codemasters game. But down through turns number 7 they go again for the 26th time. Skyler is desperate, but I think he's holding back a little bit this time. He's letting Sav have a go at Nick, but I don't think Nick is going to allow Sav to get anywhere close to him at all. And I mean, looking at it, Nick is 43% of his battery left. He's still. All of a sudden, Wilson's got no percent, but Nick is the man with the joker of the pack.
He is, and Wilson there with 0 ES, he's literally been like that last 5 laps I've been on board with him, and he is losing that time. What I think Sav is trying to do now, though, I think he's trying to protect that 5-second gap to Levi. Levi is going to be the big one in all this. It's 3.2 seconds between him and Wilson. Obviously, Wilson's going to lose that position. Levi could potentially get ahead of Sav if he is to try and put the throttle down on this final lap of the race. It all depends on what the Red Bull man does ahead. Does he go for the move on Nick, force them into fighting, and then lose that 5-second gap? It is going to be really, really costly if that is the case. Nick, though, leads the way. Sav in second, Skyler in third. Final lap of the race about to begin. Ali Ferrari, by the way, is all over the back of Fabi. I think that move has actually just happened from Fabi getting past. So Fabi through, and he's into 13. Ali Ferrari there in 14, doing a good job. He has been one to watch out for, certainly in this race. Pisty on the back of Rudy as well, coming through turns 1 and 2. But this all lies with the leaders. Nick leads the way. Sav in second, Skyler in third, and the gap between Sav and Levi is Nick spun! Nick has spun! Out the race lead! Coming out of turn number 7! Would you believe it? Sav leads the way from Skyler in second. This has handed the race completely on the plate for Skyler. This 5-second penalty now is absolutely crucial. If this is to get removed, Sam could still yet win this race. Unbelievable scenes.
Rusty's just gone up the inside of Smokey as well. Rusty has decided that was the time. He has been biding his time a little bit, and Rusty's just done it. What a move from Rusty. His pace has been there all race long, and he's done a fantastic job. Smokey's going to be trying to get back at him. I want to go to the leaders, but I can't because I need to see what's happening between these two. Rusty versus Smokey. This is huge, and at the moment, going wide is Rusty, but that is it. Let's go on board with the leaders. I have to now. Oh, this has been an absolute cracker of an end of a race. Sav is going to cross the line in first. Sav is going to cross the line first. Skyler in second. PSR Wilson will cross it in third. But is Levi going to nick that third place off of him? He does. It's third for the Haas. Nick, well, he is super unlucky and will come home in P5. P6 for Rusty. Smokey in seventh. Oh my goodness, James. What have we just witnessed in that final lap? It's happened everywhere. It happened all at once. No words can describe that.
Definitely not. Definitely not. It was unbelievable. I was taking it from Sav's perspective, and all I saw was literally Nick putting too much throttle down, coming out of turn number 7, and that was him round. Unfortunately, it's so common in this game for that to happen. Nick, on the final lap of the race, he had one job. And that was not to spin. And in the end, the PSR boys are going to be looking at him and thinking, you absolute bottle. You could have won that race. That is what is going to now sink into his memory for the rest of his life. He could have won here in France. He didn't. It is still a very good result, though, from the PSR perspective. But my word, I thought I saw it all in Azerbaijan. I think this just tops the lot potentially in France. This is unbelievable. But coming to the top step of the podium anyways is the Aston Martin of Skyber. In the end, a very fortunate winner in what I've never seen before, actually, is a wheel of roses, basically, around the winner. I've never seen that ever before on this game. So very interesting indeed. But he takes the P1 win. It is, again, a fantastic win from his perspective. And I believe the last time Skyler won, I'm not mistaken, was back in Azerbaijan when I also was commentating.
You know what? I think there might be a petition from Skyler to get you to commentate every week. But what a final lap here at France. And I think I mentioned to you before the race started that this is a league racing track more than a real proper track. But Sider, Sav, Levi, Wilson, Nick, Rusty, Smokey, Rudy, who did get points in the end after his undercut, Pisty and Choco all doing amazing here tonight. And there's the rest of the finishers as well. Wow. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna go for podium interviews tonight, but I do want your words from this one, James, because it's been an absolute incredible race.
Fantastic race. It lived up to the billing, I think. It really did live up to the billing of the racing out on track, and it was fantastic to watch from my perspective. France, I said to you before we came live, France is a track where if you get the drivers, it does produce, and it produced in the right way. We had brilliant battles throughout the field. We had that Smokey and the Smokey battle with Rusty, if I'm not mistaken. I'm forgetting my words. I've just commentated on these guys. But it was the championship fight, and that was possibly deciding going later on in the season. It was fantastic to watch. And I feel so disheartened for Nick at this stage. Nick absolutely deserved that race win. If it wasn't for that spin, he would have won, and he knows that. I know that. We all know that, and that will forever and live in his memory. But the thing that he's got to do now is take from that race the positives. The positives of leading pretty much that second entire stint, leading the race for as many laps as he did. He did a fantastic job. One mistake was costly, but he is better than that, and I know for a fact he'll come back stronger.
He definitely will, and it is such a shame. You know, looking at it from Nick's perspective, he deserved that race victory because he led the first stint. Okay, that was that bit in the middle, but he was leading that through as well, and then that second stint. And unfortunately, this is F1. These things happen, and you just got to pick yourself and dust yourself off and go again. What's your driver of the day, please, James?
Oh, driver of the day. I was going to give it to Nick, and then he bottled it coming through turn number 7. Oh, tricky. Skyver. I think it has to be Skyver. He drove really well. It was costly. I literally said about 3-4 laps before the end of the race, he was going to be the one to watch out for. He was going to lay all the cards on the line. That's exactly what he did. If it wasn't for that next spin, it would have been different. But Skyler, for me, driver of the day, he deserved it at the end of the day. Phenomenal performance, phenomenal win, and he takes points with that as well. And now lands himself potentially in the fight for P2.
Definitely a cracking. I mean, we'll everything after the first pit stop has been incredible, but that last lap will go down in WOR history. I think there was so much that went on, and I tell you what, Rusty's overtake on Smokey as well. How defining thing that be. I'm sure we'll probably forget it by the end of the season, but it could be something that we talk back on at the end of the season, whether it's with you or any of the other commentators, whether Ryan's back as well. I tell you what a great race. James, you have come in and done another fantastic job for us here tonight, and have done a another fantastic race. This second half of this race has been phenomenal. Ooh la la, as the French might say. I'm not 100% sure, but what a cracking race. Final words from you, please.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. A pleasure to be here, of course, as always, for Console T1. I think it's the third time that I've been commentating this season at various points. And for me, the races just keep getting better and better. I think the best thing that has happened is turning this into cosplay. We might not necessarily get the viewers on a Friday night because of other events that run, but still, the racing is here. The guys are here as well. And that, I think, forever lives. Everyone is here for the same passion, and that is of motorsport. And everyone realised that tonight, and that that championship defining moment potentially between Smokey and Rusty, that could be lived on as well. The Skyver taking that race win, brilliant race, and hopefully it's not the last time either.
No, I'm so glad I'm commentating on this league for the remainder of the season as well, because there's so many action-packed races to come down. Obviously, Bahrain next week, I believe. Obviously, mixed with the Challengers events as well. Everything that's going on, F1 2022, even with the state of the game, is just about to kick off. It feels like it's going to be the big starting point for it all again. Thank you so much for watching, everyone in the chat. It's been phenomenal to have you here tonight. For myself and James, hopefully I'll have James alongside me when Ryan can't come again. I've had two amazing commentators fill in, Joseph as well as James, when Ryan hasn't been here. So I mean, I'm spoiled for choice with the talent that is able to sit alongside me. But for now, thank you so much, and we'll catch you next week for the Bahrain Grand Prix.